If you struggle to fall asleep, can't stay asleep, or you wake up at 2 or 3 a.m., it's not because you're getting older. And it's not a melatonin deficiency. When sleep drops, it throws your hormones way out of balance. This can drive belly fat, slow recovery, and it leaves you feeling flat. In today's video, I'm giving you 5 simple fixes you can do tonight to get your very best sleep. The first one is alcohol. Let's start with an obvious one. Alcohol does not help you get deep quality sleep. It'll sedate you and you might fall asleep easier after a drink or two, but the depth of sleep will not be there. So we're talking about 2 very different things. The sedation helps you pass out faster, and you have to remember sleep is a coordinated neurologic process with structured stages that your brain cycles through all night long. Alcohol really disrupts this process. So again, you'll fall asleep, you won't necessarily stay asleep, and your deep sleep will suffer. So it fragments sleep. It suppresses REM sleep. It raises your nighttime heart rate significantly. And it can trigger cortisol spikes around 2 or 3 in the morning, which then you wake up and it's hard to fall back asleep and again, get into deep sleep. That's why a lot of people wake up in the middle of the night after drinking and they just cannot get back to sleep, and how frustrating that is. Even 1 or 2 drinks can do this. So a lot of people will say, I just have a drink or 2 a day. It's nothing excessive. But if you use wearable technology, you will be in the red and your sleep scores will tank. You might fall asleep faster, but your deep sleep drops. Your heart rate's elevated. Your heart rate variability will definitely be low and out of whack. And this is one of the best markers to gauge how you're recovering and where your nervous system is at. Alcohol also lowers testosterone. This is such an important hormone for men to feel good. So now you're getting less deep sleep. You're driving your testosterone down. You have worse hormonal recovery and poor overall sleep. The fix here is pretty simple. No more alcohol. Now, a lot of you out there might be like, this is a really hard line. I like alcohol. It's social, but not less, not earlier, just none. As close to 0 as possible. Like, keep it to birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, and special occasions. But if you care about your recovery, your health, and your sleep, and if sleep's a priority, alcohol cannot be a nightly habit, okay? Even reducing it to occasional use can make a significant difference in overall sleep quality. So I really encourage you to do that. The second issue is the nighttime cortisol spikes. This plagues a lot of people and it disrupts their sleep. A lot of people say they feel tired but wired at night, which means body's fatigued, their eyes are kind of heavy, but then they just cannot turn their brain off and actually fall asleep. They get into bed and the brain's on, like the hamster wheel's going, and they can't shut it off. So he starts thinking about work, emails, deadlines, conversations they had earlier in the day, things they need to do tomorrow. So it's not random. Most people are just overstimulated and under-recovered, especially around bedtime. So if cortisol's high, melatonin's going to go low, the mind starts racing and overthinking, and you're hooped. It's really hard to fall asleep. So common causes can include caffeine too late in the day or just caffeine intolerance, hard workouts late in the evening that drive up cortisol, working on your laptop right until you climb into bed, or not consuming enough calories throughout the day. All these things push cortisol higher at night. And when this happens, cortisol is supposed to be highest in the morning, not at night. It should be high when you wake up and fade as the day goes. So if it's not dropping at nighttime and cortisol stays elevated, melatonin has a much harder time at rising. And you need melatonin to come up at bedtime to put you to sleep and keep you there. So that's one reason people lie awake even though they feel just totally body exhausted. The mind can't shut off. So the goal here is to let the cortisol fall naturally throughout the late afternoon, evening, and at bedtime. And there's a few simple things you can do in order to make that happen, but don't work against yourself here. So no more caffeine after noon. That should be a rule. And if you're going to do caffeine in coffee and stimulants, it should be like 1 to 2 cups a day equivalent done by noon. You have to remember, caffeine has a half-life of roughly 6 hours, and in some people, even longer. They just don't detox it fast. So a coffee at 3 in the afternoon can still be circulating in your system when you're trying to sleep at 9, 10, or 11. Also, make sure dinner includes protein, healthy fats, and a moderate amount of carbohydrates. A lot of people skip carbs at night thinking it will help with fat loss, but carbohydrates in the right amounts and types actually help lower cortisol, support serotonin and melatonin production, less chance of blood sugar spike if you have good timed meals leading up to bedtime. But remember, no heavy meals before bed because that can really mess up your sleep. The third one is take a short walk after dinner. 10 to 20 minutes is usually enough. I'm a big fan of 10-minute walks. Helps with digestion, stabilizing blood sugar, and it signals to your nervous system that the day is winding down. So don't eat a heavy meal and just retire to the couch. Like, that's not ideal. And finally, dim the lights about 90 minutes before bed. So you're trying to have less blue light hit your eyes in that hour and a half before bed. So the bright lights, especially the overhead ones, it tells your brain it's daytime. So dim those down. Lowering light exposure helps melatonin rise naturally. Because again, bright light in the morning suppresses melatonin. So you want it to be dark at night. So the goal is really simple here. Let cortisol fall so sleep hormones can rise. The third issue with sleep is nighttime blood sugar crashes. That 2 or 3 a.m. wake up is extremely common. And people think, it's a sleep problem, it's a cortisol issue, but in many cases, it may be a blood sugar problem. So this tends to happen in a few groups, in a few different instances. Lean, high-performing people who burn through fuel quickly may be susceptible to a blood sugar crash. People that are practicing intermittent fasting, time-restricted feeding, 1-2 meals a day, also high risk. Anyone dieting aggressively and just under-consuming calories, same thing. Your body could be running low in the middle of the night and it's going to trigger a wake-up and a stress response. So high-stress individuals, maybe you're going through a tough season in life, you already have elevated cortisol, obviously that could be you. Waking up at that hour. When liver glycogen runs low overnight, the body compensates by raising cortisol and adrenaline to bring this blood sugar back up. So that's what's happening is your body senses the blood sugar drop. It releases the stress hormones to wake you up and balance the sugar. And now you might not even feel hungry. You just wake up suddenly because your brain is on, right? That stress hormone came out to correct the blood sugar, but now you're awake. So the fix is stabilizing blood sugar throughout the day and certainly in the hours between, call it 5 and 10 p.m. So this starts with dinner. Need to make sure you have high quality protein, beef, chicken, eggs, lamb, pork, turkey, a good amount of healthy fats, and the right kind of carbs. And not too many, right? Like maybe 30 to 50 grams of carbs. This could be rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, quinoa, fruits. So don't skip dinner entirely. Don't go like extremely low carb. Make sure it's high quality proteins, healthy amounts of fats, and then the right amount of carbs. Make sure you're well hydrated, get some electrolytes, salt on your food, because low sodium intake can worsen nighttime cortisol spikes in some people as well. So I'm a big fan of electrolytes and salts to absorb your water. And if you consistently wake up in the middle of the night, a small protein, healthy fat carb snack before bed can also help. So say you eat dinner at 5, which is pretty early. Maybe your bedtime is 10:30. Go with a small snack. Simple things like Greek yogurt and some fruit, 2 handfuls of pumpkin seeds, maybe a little bit of nut butter. That in an hour before can help stabilize blood sugar overnight, which will then give you stable sleep. The fourth factor is body temperature. Sleep onset is largely a temperature-based event, and a lot of people sleep in a room that's too warm. So your brain will initiate sleep when the core body temperature starts to drop. And there's a lot of ways we can facilitate that process. And that's why so many people feel sleepy after a hot bath or shower. This initial increase in body temperature and heat causes the blood vessels in the skin to dilate. And then as the heat starts to dissipate through the skin, our core body temperature will drop. So sauna, steam, hot bath, shower before bed, even though it's heating you up, you get this rapid cooling effect after. So that drop signals to the brain that it's time to sleep as you start to cool off. So you can really use this to your advantage. But you also need to make sure that the body temperature and room temperatures are where they need to be. So you could take a hot shower about 60 to 90 minutes before bed. It doesn't have to be long. 5 to 10 minutes is enough. Just enough to raise the temperature a little bit. And set your bedroom temperature between 17 and 19 degrees Celsius. This might be way lower than some of you are doing, but trying to sleep well and soundly in like 21, 22, 23 degree rooms, not conducive for sleep. A cooler room will support that natural temperature drop that your body's trying to do. So keep the room really, really dark as well. So it's got to be cold, it's got to be dark. Light exposure at night really interferes with melatonin production. Even little whispers of light coming through can really make for problems when it comes to sleep. So also make sure to try and avoid heavy meals right before bed. We talked about maybe a small snack, but no heavy meals. Large meals can increase metabolic activity and body temperature. And so again, it'll make it harder for you to fall asleep. So small snacks only. Sleep, you have to remember, is a physiological process. So lowering the core body temperature helps initiate that process naturally. So cold, dark, and a quiet room is absolutely imperative. The fifth factor when it comes to sleep is your wake up time. This one is often overlooked by most people. So a good night of sleep starts the moment you wake up. So a lot of people are obsessing about bedtime and bedtime routine for a good sleep, but really like a good night of sleep starts the moment you wake up. The circadian rhythm is anchored by wake up time, not sleep time. So if your wake up time changes every day, your internal clock never stabilizes. It's very confused. It's always guessing, when do I release cortisol? When do I release melatonin? Like, you're making it guess because there's no consistency. So one day you wake up at 6, the next day it's 8. You went to bed at 9 one day, and then 11, and then 1 a.m. It's like, how are you going to develop a routine of hormone secretions with that kind of schedule? So your brain never really knows when the day begins or ends. So this makes it really hard to build good sleep pressure throughout the day and then fall asleep and stay asleep. So the solution is simple. There's nothing sexy about this, but the solution is simple. You want to pick a wake-up time and stick to it. Same thing with a bedtime. Go to bed roughly at the same time each night and wake up roughly the same time in the morning. This is important. It doesn't have to be perfect, but within, half hour, 45 minutes, try and keep it consistent. Even if you slept poorly, get up at the same time, try and get on a routine. Don't hit snooze repeatedly. That just usually will leave you feeling groggy. Within 5 to 10 minutes of waking, this is really important, expose your eyes to some natural light. This tells your brain it's daytime. It will downplay the melatonin. It will increase the cortisol. It'll get you on the groove. This is daytime. And then that'll trigger a melatonin release 12 to 15 hours later. The morning light tells your brain to set the clock and get it going. If possible, step outside and get some fresh air while you get that natural light on your eyes. And the inside lights don't quite do it. Okay, so morning light exposure really strengthens the entire sleep-wake cycle and rhythm. So don't overlook this. That's the whole thing, where the good night of sleep starts the moment you wake up. Over time, your rhythm's going to improve. Sleep pressure will get better. It'll stabilize your hormones. Metabolic function will improve. Consistency is really, really important here. I don't need you to have perfect sleep cycles, but consistency with the schedule will make all the difference. A stable wake-up time will fix a lot of sleep problems, especially a lot more than people think, okay? So if you apply these 5 changes tonight, most people will notice improvements very, very quickly. In as little as a few nights, you will start sleeping better and waking up better, okay? Remove or dramatically limit the alcohol, okay? Lower and start to control that nighttime cortisol spike that may be affecting you. Stabilize your blood sugar, regular meals throughout the day, high quality proteins, healthy fats, the right kind of carbs, small meals, and then maybe a snack before bed at the most. Make sure the room is cold, dark, and quiet. Like, set up a good environment here, okay? And then anchor your wake up time based on your to bed time. Sleep is one of the most powerful recovery tools your body has. So when sleep improves, hormones improve, life improves. Testosterone improves, body composition will improve, your critical thinking, your ability to do amazing at your job, show up for those that you need to in a highly energetic state. All that's anchored off a good night of sleep. And if you're a trainer or someone that likes to hit the gym, run, do active things, you're not going to excel in those if you're not sleeping, okay? Your energy throughout the day will become way more stable. If you feel like you have energy crashes and you need to nap in the middle of the day, like, none of that stuff's normal. We need to anchor the sleep routine, okay? And most people try and fix sleep with supplements first. There's nothing wrong with that, but sleep will usually improve faster when you fix the behavior and the physiology behind it with all these things I just talked about. So start with these 5 tonight. Your body will slowly do the rest. And if you want more info on sleep, I've done 10, 20-minute deep dives on this, which it does talk about a lot more of the supplements and some of the intricacies that will be helpful to you on top of these foundational things I just talked about, okay? So other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll talk on the next one.